Hiya, my name is Poke King, but you can just call me King, and today we are going to be discussing something I have kind of put off talking about not only for this channel, but in my life in general, and that is a discussion about Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl and how Legends Arceus was just a better game than this bag of uninspired disappointments. But I'm getting ahead of myself. In this video, I'm going to tell you a story about me and how a very magical game that changed my life would eventually leave me with sorrow, but also unexpected happiness. So sit back, relax, get comfy, get a coffee, a tea, a venti caramel ribbon crunch frap, whatever you want to do, and yeah, let's get right into it. We're going to start at the beginning. It's 2007. iPhones had just come out. Spider-Man 3 was in movie theaters. Everyone was running around in Crocs with chunky blonde highlights in their hair listening to Maroon 5. It was a whole vibe. And there was me, a chaotic 10-year-old who was about to be handed a game that would have a lasting impact on my life. I was given one of those game cards for my DS that had what was essentially ROM versions of games on it, and among those many games was Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. At the time, I knew about Pokemon, but not in great detail, and I had never played the game, so I decided to boot up Diamond and give it a shot. What happened next was nothing short of an adventure. I played the hell out of this game, learning so much about the world of Pokemon, and was instantly consumed by its wonder and magic. Then I played Pearl and had the same experience over again. I began to watch the Diamond and Pearl anime every morning before school. I began to get cards, trade them at school, know which were rare and which ones were not. I checked out Pokedex books from the library so I could learn to draw Pokemon and check out their stats. Then, a year later, you can only imagine my surprise when a new Pokemon game was coming out, and it seemed like it was going to be similar to Diamond and Pearl, but with a cool, edgy dragon demon thing. So I got this game too, and I played it all the same. I also saved up money from doing chores for my grandparents to buy the Dialga and Palkia DS Lite that I still have. I kept getting more and more into Pokemon, collecting toys, plushies, pretending to have Pokemon battles at recess. I was clearly a super cool kid growing up. I even wrote an entire manga series based on the Diamond and Pearl Adventures manga, which I would check out of the library and then eventually buy. This opened up the door to the world of Pokemon for me, and I would go on to get Soul Silver, spin-off games like Rumble, Battle Revolutions, Pokemon Trozzy, the best game ever in my opinion, and I was loving it. Fast forward to when the 3DS came out, and since I was an edgy 13-year-old at the time, I didn't want a 3DS. I was edgy and cool and retro, so I never got one. Until 2014 and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire came out, and I noticed some patterns with the game releases and realization set in. Fire Red and Leaf Green were remakes of Gen 1, and Soul Silver and Heart Gold were remakes of Gen 2, with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire being remakes of Gen 3. That meant next in line to be remade was Diamond and Pearl. After seeing an update to the graphics and gameplay in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, I was over the moon excited to see what they would do with Diamond and Pearl. So, of course, I rushed out to get a 2DS so I could be ready when the remakes came out. Clearly, the Pokemon Company would keep their consistent remake schedule the same as they did in the past, right? 2 years passed, and Sun and Moon were announced. Me being 18 at the time finally had adult money to spend on Pokemon games, so I bought X and then Moon when it came out to get back into modern Pokemon so I could be ready for the Diamond and Pearl remakes. I was ready for the following year to come around so we could finally get these remakes, and there it was. In 2017, a Pokemon Direct came out and rumors were flying. This was it! They were about to announce the Diamond and Pearl remakes 10 years after the original games came out. And it was Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Okay, I mean fine, that's a bit weird seeing as X and Y didn't get Z like everyone thought it would. And did Sun and Moon really need a part 2? The story was fine. Oh, they took out chunks of character development and story in Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon? I mean, okay. I just took the L and went back to waiting. I figured they would have to come out soon. Nintendo had also launched the Switch around this time as well, so I was occupied with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for the meantime. Soon after, rumors were flying around again, which involved talk of a Pokemon game for the Switch coming out, but no mainline game or remake had ever come out for a home console. It was always on a handheld, so I was iffy, but talk continued and it was confirmed it would be a remake of a handheld title on the Switch, in all 3D, in its HD glory. This was it. After all this waiting, here it was. And nope, we got Gen fucking 1 again. Let's Go Dog Shit was announced, and you best believe I was mad. Why were we getting Gen 1 again? For the 5th time. How many times were they going to cater to the Gen 1ers? What the fudge? And thus, I entered my whining about Diamond and Pearl remakes arc, where I took every opportunity to cry, piss, and shit about not getting Diamond and Pearl remakes. 2019 enters. The world is about to go into the year of our Lord 2020, and Sword and Shield were announced and then released in November. I bought Sword trying to use it as some sort of distraction for my anger of not getting Diamond and Pearl remakes again. I played it for about a month and I was done. All I could think about was how great Diamond and Pearl would look with the graphics of Sword and Shield and the possibility of it being more open world with the introduction of the wild areas. So I waited again. Then, it was 2021, and Pokemon Presents was on its way again. Rumors were flying around once more, and my hopes were not high. This had happened to me too many times before for me to expect something good to come out of this, especially because some of the rumors were fucking Let's Go Gold and Silver, so I went into the Pokemon Presents. Then, there they were. Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. I can't even describe the excitement and happiness I felt in that moment. Seeing the trailer show up on the screen featuring clips of the original games, there it was, after all this time, and the Presents even came with a recreation of a Dialga and Palkia DS Lite in Switch Lite form. I felt the same magic I felt when I started getting into Pokemon when I was a chaotic 10-year-old. So, I did what any person would do. I pre-ordered both games and also made sure I would get the Switch Lite as well. I was overjoyed and so ready to see what these remakes brought to the table with new mechanics, stunning graphics, and just overall innovation. I was ready to finally get the remakes Diamond and Pearl fans so well deserved. I learned a funny thing about expectation versus reality in November of 2021. When I got my BDSP double pack, I was so ready to go back into the world of Pokemon from 2007. And, well, it sure was the same world of Pokemon from 2007, but it was missing a lot of the initial excitement and emotion I had connected to the series at the time. At first, I didn't feel this way as much. I was having fun reliving the same game as I had when I was younger. I was able to predict the dialogue, and when the characters came into the scene, I knew exactly how things were going to play out, and I was so ready. Except, that was just it. I knew exactly how things were going to play out. The game became almost tedious after a certain point. I would go somewhere and battle a trainer in gyms, and almost like I was going down a checklist, doing my list of tasks at my job. There was no surprises, no secrets I was looking forward to. I just played. And it got worse as the game went on. I found myself clinging to the Grand Underground for a while because it offered something different, but even that got tiring after a while as features like decorating your secret base had changed so drastically. And contests were different, but not in a good way. Whole portions of the contest game loops were gone and replaced with bare-bones minigames. The story was, well, Diamond and Pearl, but there were no elements of Platinum in there, not even the Distortion World section. That didn't even come in any future updates. When I beat Cynthia, that was, well, it. The game was done. I had completed it all. Yeah, there was post-game, but I had already played post-game in the originals and I knew nothing was different, because these games weren't different. They were carbon copies with a new coat of paint and non-fleshed out features. It was weird. And after I beat these games near the beginning of January, I was left with the most empty feeling. Like I had been robbed as a fan of Diamond and Pearl. Like Pokemon did something to me personally. I pretended like I didn't feel this way, pretending like these games were everything I could have hoped for. But they weren't. I just didn't want to admit to myself that this was it. This was the remakes we got, and that was that. Diamond and Pearl wasn't Gen 1, so it will never be remade again. This was it. This was where the Diamond and Pearl saga ended. And as I sat there in my room with my Switch Lite in my hands, I couldn't help but feel that magic I felt the first time I played those games all those years ago seemed to fade away into the Pokemon abyss. When BDSP was announced, another game was announced with it in the same Pokemon Presents, Pokemon Legends Arceus, and on January 28th of 2022, I ended up picking up this game. I was still bummed out about BDSP and the disappointment and sad emotions it made me feel, so I was mainly looking for a distraction. So I booted up Legends Arceus and, whoa, what's this? I can move the camera around freely? The entire game? That's amazing. You can't really do that in Pokemon games. And what's this about the story? We most likely play as Dawn and Lucas from Diamond and Pearl sent back to the past by Arceus himself. What a wild concept, but I love it. My emotions immediately changed when playing this game as I played it, and only got happier and happier. At first, it was the little things. The remixed version of the Jubilife City tune playing in Jubilife Village, the characters that were designed to be great ancestors of other Pokemon characters we knew and loved from other games, the mechanics, the ideas, all of it was so good and new. As I continued to play the game, I started to fall in love with the innovation it brought to the table. You're telling me I can go into the wilderness, get brutally attacked by a wild Pokemon, drown, or just straight up fall off a cliff and die? Oh hell fucking yeah. Not to mention the Hisui region itself, as it was Sinnoh way back in the day and there were locations I knew from Diamond and Pearl reimagined in completely new ways where cities would eventually stand. Pokemon and vegetation ran free, where battles would be had with Pokemon Masters, novice trainers stood to battle Pokemon for the first time. Alpha Pokemon brought an entirely new challenge to the table, and the boss fights were insanely awesome. Combining combat with Pokemon battles was ingenious and added so much to the mechanics of the game. And the story? Where do I even start? It was a complete reimagining of the story from Diamond and Pearl, and even included wonderful characters like Kamado, Volo, and Irida being standouts, and of course, Adaman, who a lot of people think might be an ancestor of Guzma or Sycamore, which I totally agree with because he is possibly one of the hottest Pokemon characters to exist. But anyways, all of this arching to a grand battle with you and Volo. And when that fucking Cynthia battle remix kicked in and Volo sent out his first Pokemon, oh my Arceus was truly a magical experience. Oh, what? This feeling. It was a sense of wonder and magic. That same magic that took me back to those days when I first loaded up my Diamond game on my little DS Lite and was brought into this amazing, wonderful world of Pokemon. There it was, finally, that feeling I was looking for. And I smiled. I think what this entire experience has taught me is that we as consumers want to have things remade. We see things we knew as children, and we expect the remake of it to make us feel like we did when we were younger, when the original piece of media filled us with this sense of magic. But that's not how these things work. And the sad fact is, we won't be able to go back to that moment when we were 10 and picking up our favorite video game for the first time again. And that's okay, because there are a lot of other things that can make us feel this sense of magic. We just have to give them a chance. If we keep requesting remakes of the same things over and over from companies and studios, we won't ever be able to experience anything new and give anything that chance to make us feel that magic. We will fall into a hole where we become bitter and always upset with anything that is being made, like I was. I'm never gonna get the Diamond and Pearl remake I created in my mind, and that's okay, because I ended up getting something better, something that gave me that feeling of magic, and something that changed my entire perspective. I got a new favorite game, and the Diamond and Pearl remake I needed. Thanks so much for watching this video essay-esque video. I know that it had a different tone than some of my other videos, but I do hope that you enjoyed it. Sorry if it got a little deep there near the end, but honestly, I just wanted to voice my opinion about the entire situation, and if you feel the same way, hopefully I was able to convey those feelings into words for you. If you like this style of video, let me know. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, do all those silly little things to support my channel, as I really appreciate it, and I try to post videos every Tuesday. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!